Liberals and gentlemen, John Ziegler, the creator of HowObamaGotElected.com, has been arrested. What did he do? After rightly pointing out that Katie Courics' interviews with Senator Biden were laden with softballs, and her interviews with Sarah Palin were much different, Ziegler headed to USC's Annenberg School for Journalism to ask people questions while Couric was receiving the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism. Ziegler was then harassed and arrested by two rent-a-cops, and as far as I know, all he was doing was asking questions. Got fascism? Ziegler was on a public right-of-way, and somehow these rent-a-cops didn't think that was a, quote, legitimate purpose. I'm afraid this is where America is heading. I don't approve of the KKK either. Not sure what Senator Byrd's opinion of the KKK is. But they have a right to free speech, even though it is very tasteless. I guess USC's definition of journalism is quite different from the normal version. This is yet another example of political correctness. If Ziegler was blocking traffic like Cindy Sheehan, or pouring wet cement on train tracks, or grabbing people against their will, it would be different. I think this is more about Ziegler's documentary, which proved that most of Obama's supporters were idiots. Most of them didn't know, if you watched it, and if you haven't, I urge you to, most of them didn't know that Democrats had controlled Congress since January 2007. They didn't know who Barney Frank or Nancy Pelosi were. And they didn't know that Joe Biden thinks FDR was president in 1929. Why didn't Couric asked Joe some of those questions. Joe, why do you think jobs is a three-letter word? Joe, why did you plagiarize back in the 1988 presidential campaign? Joe, how come you don't know the difference between a platoon and a brigade, etc.? Or a battalion and a brigade, I think was what he was confusing. But none of those questions from Couric. That says it all. Basically, what USC and the left are saying is shut up. Don't oppose the liberal agenda. Don't oppose sham awards for journalists, and I use the term loosely, like Katie Couric. Just be quiet. More proof that the left cannot compete in the arena of ideas. This reminds me of this situation from several months ago. A Chicago taxpayer went to his 22nd Ward alderman, Richard Munoz, to protest the Democrats' support for tax increment financing. Michelle Malkin reported years ago on how these public-private partnership scams. We've never seen a public-private partnership siphon off money before, have we? She reported years ago how these public-private partnership scams siphon off tax dollars to subsidize developers and builders who then reward politicians with big campaign contributions. The constituent wants to present Alderman Munoz with a petition. Munoz physically shoves the voter and yells, "Get the F out of my office." So I guess the left can't deal with dissent, so you got John Ziegler getting arrested when he wasn't harassing anybody. Now, if he was harassing people, yes, I'd say, okay, remove him. Incidentally, they ended up letting him go, but he did sit there in handcuffs for some time and wasn't doing anything wrong, just questioning Katie Couric and her sham interviews with Sarah Palin and Joe Biden. I don't mind that she's tough on Sarah Palin. They should be tough on politicians. If you remember how the left went berserk when Tim Russert hammered Hillary on driver's licenses for illegals, they went nuts. And Tim Russert was, pretty much down the middle. He was one of the best journalists, and of course, unfortunately he's gone. But the left can't deal with this criticism, which is why people like John Ziegler get arrested.